So we were discussing about the classification of the elements and their arrangement, and this is called the periodic table. And the element is the substance that cannot be chemically changed or broken down into anything that is simpler. And some of the symbol are mentioned over here. And this is the way how to represent the element. And this is this symbol, the element, the symbol of the element. This is its atomic number, this is its mass number, or we call it the atomic weight, and this is the name of that element. So similarly, you can represent all these elements in the periodic table. So we were here to describe what is the arrangement of the elements. So this is very simple. It is not necessary to remember all these names, but first have a look, just have a sketch like this. This is and this is another way, and this is another block, and you can just write a sketch with your ball pen on your notebook, or to explain this periodic table. So first arrangement is, if you look at this periodic table, so the first arrangement is there are some the vertical lines like here up to starting from hydrogen to the helium, and there are some horizontal lines like there. So these, the first classification is we have divided this periodic table into the groups, and all these vertical lines are called the groups. So this is the first the way to describe the periodic table. And all these are the horizontal lines. These are the horizontal lines starting from again from the hydrogen and ending with this element. These horizontal lines are called the periods. So the first is we have divided this periodic table into groups. These are the groups and these are the periods. Now the question is how many groups and how many periods are there? So again, with the groups, the group is further divided into the two groups, that is called, we call the A group and the B group. So this is the A group. A is written over here, and the starting from the first A, second A. No, it is third A is over here. Third A, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. So there are, you can say, there are the 8 A groups. And how many are the B groups? B groups are there. So again, it is starting from the, this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. So there are also 8 B groups. So again, vertical lines are divided into the two groups. One is called the A group, and that is other one is called the B group. So if you look at the serial number, this is also giving you very important information to remember the groups where they are going to start, the first A group and the first B group. Let's suppose this is a serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So this serial number is so there are, you can say, there are the 8 horizontal lines over there. And how many there are the groups? There are the 8 A group, and there are the 8 8 B groups. So I will take your question just after the explanation of this one. Okay, just have a little bit wait, and then I will take your question. So this serial number you can start. So it is starting from 1, 2. Again, let's see, this is a 3. So first we have decided all these two horizontal lines, and these horizontal lines are belong to group A. So how can you state that where group B is going to start from this serial number? So I'm getting the information from this serial number 1, 2. Of course, this is the B group. And now let's see, this is a 3. So it is starting the 3B group, 4, 4B, 5, 5B, 6, 6B, 7, 7B, and 8, 9, and 10 are the 8 group. Then it is 11th. So just skip the first one, 11, the first figure, then it will be 1. So that means it is the first B. And if you skip again 1, that is the 2, that is the 2B group, and then it is the 13 again. Skip one, that is the 3, that means this is the 3A, and similarly 4A, 5A, 5th A, 6A, 7th A, and 8A. So similarly, you can get the information from the serial number. You can divide the groups into the A and B if by taking the serial number into the consideration. Now, so we have concluded over here. There are the 8A group and there are the 8B group. So now look at the periods. So these are the horizontal lines: one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and these seven are called the periods. So there are the seven periods. So look at the colors 57 to 71. Actually, these are the elements which are placed over here. So that's why it would be more complicated periodic table. So they are written separately, and it is mentioned over here. This actually these elements belongs to uh, this part, and this part is belong to these elements. So that's why they have written separately over here. So these are called the other names, but I will come into the later the other classification of the product table. So at this slide, we have decided they are the periodic table is divided into the groups and the periods. There are 8A group, there are 8B groups, and there are the 7 periods. So this is the, if I ask, so classify the periodic table into groups and the periods. So this is the only the way you can explain in a similar way, which I have explained over here very briefly. Second classification. Again, this is the same periodic table. So this is the way I am going to ask you. Whenever it is asked, just have a brief this sketch on your notebook and then explain what would be the question over there. So second classification is we have also arranged all these elements into the different blocks, and there are the four blocks. So this is the S block, P block, D block, and the F block. So this is written very clearly over here. These two uh, groups, first A and the 2A, are belong to the S block, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, and A block is belong to the P block. That means A block, group A having two block. One is the S block, which is on the left hand side, and one is the P block, which is on the right hand side. Simple. And similarly, we have the B group, and B group is also having the two blocks, that is the D block and the F block. Remember, this F is at this place and this is at this place. So that's why, because these two rows are not belong to the D block, that's why they have written over here separately, because if it is written over there, then these will be belonging to the D block. So this is the brief reason why they are separately mentioned over here instead of at these position. So I'm going to conclude this slide as well. So if I ask what is the classification of the elements based on the blocks, so you can say periodic table is divided into the four blocks. There are the four blocks S, P, D, and F block. So S block is the first two A groups are belong to the S block, and from 3A to 8A groups are belong to the P block. And this is the see, in a similar way, B block is also having the two blocks. One is D block and one is the F block. So this is the classification based on the blocks. The third important classification is the whatever the based on their properties, because we have you have already learned some of the solids, some of the liquids, some of the gases, some of the metals, some of the non-metals. So based on the properties of the elements, you can also divide this periodic table into the different classification, and this will remain the same, and this is also very simple. Now I'm going to explain one by one. So look at these are mentioned with the different colors. So we are going to discuss over some of the metals, non-metals, and the semi-metals. So again, this is the same periodic table. So first is based on the properties, that means uh, which are the in the metals, non-metals, and the semi-metals. So I'm going to divide this periodic table. Where are the metals? Where are the non-metals? And where are the semi-metals? Semi-metal means in between the metals and the non-metals. So all these are which is mentioned over here with the dark color. All these elements belong to the metals, or you can say all these elements are called the metals. So there are very few properties. These are the general properties. There are very complex other properties which I have not mentioned over here. So these are very simple properties. That mean except mercury or all at are all the solid at the room temperature. That means 25 degrees centigrade. All metals are the solid except mercury, which is in the liquid. And most are having the silvery shine, and this is the properties of the metal because they shine, and this is the normal property of the metals. In addition, metals are malleable rather than the brittle. Malleable mean they can be bent. Like if you have a look on the iron rod, so you can bend it other than to break. Brittle mean to break. Like if there is a wood, and if you bend the wood, and the wood is the carbon, and this is going to be broken down. That means this type of the properties having the brittle. So metals are generally the malleable rather than the brittle. That means they can be twisted and drawn into the wires without breaking. So this is the property of the metal. And the fourth one is they are good conductor of heat and the electricity. That's why you will use the iron or the copper wires for your home appliances. So what is the reason? If somebody asks you what is the reason, because they are the metal and they are good conductor of the electricity, because there is the easily flow of the electrons over there. That's why we will use the metals in the electric wire to have the better conductivity over there. Second are the non-metals. Again, these were the metals at is mentioned over here. So actually this part is missed now. This part is one part belongs to the non-metals. So look at this. These are the non-metals on the right upper corner. So these metals are called the non-matters. So there are 11 of these, there are the 17 elements, and 11 are the gases. One is the liquid, which is the bromine, and five are the solid. So again, there is no need to remember all these elements. You can say some of the also the gases, liquid, and the solids, depending on the nature of the elements. And these are the same four properties we have mentioned over here. These are the properties, these are going to be same. So none are silvery in appearance because these are non-metals, and some of the liquid or the gases, so they do not have the shining properties. And several are brightly colored. They are in the colored form mainly, and the solid non-metals are brittle rather than the malleable. So look at this is the opposite to the metal properties, because these are the non-metal. Let's suppose again you can see the carbon, and let's suppose the carbon is mentioned over here. This is the solid, and when you bend this carbon, then it is going to be broken down. That's mean it is having the brittle property than rather than the malleable. And they are poor conductor of heat and the electricity, opposite to the metals. So non-metals are opposite to the metals properties. And in a similar way, let's suppose if it is a copper, you cannot pass the electricity from the wood, so it is easier to wood to be used as the insulator. So in the home appliances, whenever there is the electrician or have the to make some of the electrical connections. So they use the gloves, or if you put the wooden furniture or wooden type of the stool over there, also the electricity is not going to pass out of the carbon. And this is the semi-metals, or we call it the metalloids in between. So what is the definition? They have the boundary. All these are the metals as we discuss, and these are the non-metals. And in between these metals and the non-metals, these are called the uh, metalloid or the semi-metal. Semi-metal mean uh, uh, having the properties, semi properties of the metals and semi properties of the non-metals. And this is the second term you can use. So again, these are the 4 or 5 properties we are discussing over here. They are most are silvery in appearance, because although these are the because they are the semi metals, not pure metal, because they are the semi metals having the metal appearance, so they are having the shining properties. So all they are the solids at room temperature, semi metals are brighter than the malleables, and this property is near to the non-metals, because they are in transition. Some properties they are having from the metals, and some properties they are having the non-metals. And they tend to be a poor conductor of heat and electricity, not the non-conductor, but having the properties in between the metals and the non-metals. And these are the some of the examples are given over here. They are used as the semiconductor, and as I have already mentioned, they have the intermediate properties between the metals and insulator. Metal is the metal, insulator is the carbon, where there is no passage of the electricity. We call it the insulator, totally blocked, no passage of the current. This is called the insulator. And metal is the where the easily the electric current is going to pass. This called the metal. And the semi metals are the intermediate between the metals and the insulator. So I'm going to end only with the further 2 or 4 classification, just to understand. This is all about the classification. Now look, these are the metals, and there are some special name actually for the first A group and the second A group, and the seventh A and the eighth A group. So this I'm going to explain why they have the special name for the first A group. So this is the first A group. Generally, we call them the alkaline, we call them the alkali metals. So why we call them the alkali metals? Because they are highly alkaline or basic in nature. Let's suppose sodium belongs to the first A group, and it form a highly basic compound, that is the sodium hydroxide, and this is called the alkali. So that means these are the elements which are their products are from highly alkaline. That's why these are called the alkali metals. And the second A, again, this is also a metal as we have discussed. So second A group are less reactive than the neighboring A group. So that's why these are called the alkaline earth metal. So these are having the less basicity as compared to the first A group, less basic, and that's why these are called the alkaline earth metals. Now moving to the seventh A group, and the seventh A group are called the halogens, and it is written over here, halogens taken from the Greek word meaning salt. And your chlorine, as mentioned over here, is belong to seventh A group. So one of the example of the salt is the sodium chloride, your table salt. So that means they form the sodium chloride, they form the salt whenever they are going to combine with the this first A group. And the example is mentioned over here. Sodium is belong to the first A group, and this is the chlorine belong to the seventh A group, and they form the salt. That's why these are called the halogens. Halogens mean salt. They are having the property to form the salt. So lastly, these are the last A group is called the noble gases. So why they are the noble gases? Because they do not combine with any other element. They are the highly non-reactive, and only this having the few krypton and the xenon combine very few, but rest of all these are the actually these are the gases. The first are the gases. Why they are the noble gases? Because they do not combine with the other elements. They remain it's with their own form. It will be helium, it will be neon, it will be argon. So they are not going to form with the or to react with the other elements, and or to combine with any other elements. That's why they are called the noble gases. So this is all about the classification of the elements.